Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Statesman Soundwave with your host, Raghav Khosla. This episode will be a first person account of the hybrid learning model that Stevenson High School has started. A few episodes ago, myself and two fellow Statesman staffers, Kelly and Dylan, introduced this model in thorough detail. Today, I'm joined by Abby Tenner, a junior at Stevenson, who, like me, has attended school in person, and we will be discussing the whole in person learning experience. We will talk about the in class experience, how effective we believe the mitigation strategies have been, and our general thoughts on the whole environment itself. Let's get started. So, Abby, let's quickly introduce the model for those who didn't tune into the Patriot Precautions podcast. How did the hybrid model work?
So you can go for half a day at a time. It's split into three groups: green, gold, and blue.
Yeah.
I'm personally blue.
I'm
So
green.
typically what happens is you go one morning, one afternoon, and then you have a break day. And then Wednesdays are also remote days to just create sort of like a late arrival, because those days start at 8:25, 8:35.
Yeah.
And then normal days start at 7:45.
Yeah, so they basically, like Abby said, they split the day into two so that in the morning, like let's say if it's a Monday, the blue group will go in and they'll have their first four classes. But then after that, there's like a hour and 15-minute long break, which has been really nice in between the first part of the day and second part of the day. And that day, in that time, you're meant to get to school if you're the green group, and blue group is meant to leave campus, and then you have your afternoon classes. So some kids, I have fifth period lunch. I think Abby does too. We both have like a 2 hour break in the middle of the day if we're not going into person, which is quite interesting. How do you feel about that break?
So personally, I have science seminar, so that changes my break a little. I only have like a 45-minute-ish break until I go back to class, and then I have like another longer break before I'm going to my physics class. So my break is split up, but it's still the longest break I've ever had throughout my 3 years at Stevenson.
I think
This
in
is the
both of our I don't think I've ever had like even in like preschool when we had like nap time. I don't think we
Yeah,
had this long of a break.
exactly. Like I've never had a study hall. I've never had anything like that. So this has been a nice time to just step away from everything, because I think first semester that was probably one of my main issues, was just it felt like there was no break, and that's honestly something I've really liked
Yeah.
about the schedule, is that break and that time to not only eat lunch, but now you're not rushing to eat lunch. You can even go out and get lunch.
Yeah.
So you're not
It's a
stuck
nap.
eating like the
It's
same
nap time.
turkey sandwich every day or nap. I
Nap
personally
time.
don't nap, but I can see Raghav napping.
I definitely nap. Yeah, it's a great break, and I mean Zoom can get really tiring, and that's something like it's another benefit of that transportation break that they have. So,
Yeah.
in generally, how has it been going back? Are you enjoying it?
I personally really like it. I am a social person. I also just really needed a change of scenery. Being stuck in my house for the past almost year now, or at least doing school just from my house, is just such a change, because I need that communication with my teachers and like my peers, and there's just you can't get that fully through Zoom.
Yeah.
So even having just like half a day at school has made a big difference for me, because there's also now the divide between schoolwork and homework that like has been so blurred for so long, because
Yeah.
there really everything was homework.
Yeah.
But now, like if I come home from my afternoon classes, I can eat a snack and then sit down and not be completely annoyed that I'm still doing school, because it's felt like I've had this change. What about you?
I actually completely agree with you. I think you brought up a great point with the change in scenery. I think that's what I was looking for as well. It just become like it's like we were like machines, you know, you wake up, you open your laptop, you go through the spreadsheet of your Zoom links, you do your homework, you do it all over again. This is just different. Like I drive with my friend to school and we just walk from the train station. It's a nice time to catch up. And it's just nice meeting my teachers. I developed like I think you have too like a relationship with them, but it is obviously not as close as you
Mm-hmm.
want it to be. But this has really improved that. So that would actually lead us to our next question. How's the in classroom experience?
So I definitely think there is a room for improvement with for the kids in the classroom, but I also think the kids in the classroom at least right now, are in the minority. Personally, my biggest class is my Spanish class when I have four other kids in there with me, so five total. But then other than that, it's me alone or it's me with one to two other people.
That's
So I
been
understand
that's
that we're not, yeah,
with
that
like
we're
people
not like,
alone. I think that's
yeah.
been people like how has that been like if you're alone in a classroom?
So I think because the main reason I love this new schedule is because of the change of scenery, that I don't really mind not being like called out on or like having it formatted like a typical classroom. Like it's still very Zoom orientated, which makes sense. But I just still think being in a different place on the Zoom is good enough for me. But I have heard other people talk about how like they wish there was more like communication between like the teacher and like the students in class, and it's not just through Zoom. Cause I mean, I've had some times in my English class where she calls on me and it's like she has to go on mute so that I can talk to people in the Zoom. And then there's also like the issues with some people being in different breakout rooms in the same class and like the echoes. So I do think there's like some pieces that need to be improved, but I definitely think they're doing the best they can.
Definitely. I think I've actually had almost a full classroom because of it being Statesman, which is obviously what we're filming this for or recording this
Yeah.
for. But otherwise, I've also been in this. I've actually luckily not been in a situation where I've been alone. I've always had one more person with me, but still, like, I think the aspect of doing Zoom in the classroom is kind of odd, especially if the teacher is just lecturing. I think my math teacher is actually that's a good example, has done a great job of that. She doesn't require us to be on the Zoom in person. She just puts the notes up on the whiteboard, and it's actually given me and like the one other person who's only we're the only two that have showed up for our group, and we just find it beneficial because she can like exclusively ask us questions when we're doing some work or something rather than us being just like another kid on Zoom where we're getting better like a bit more attention. So I think that's been something that I liked about
Yeah,
being.
my math teacher does the
Yeah.
same where she like projects the things and it's
Yeah.
like you feel like you're back in
It's
like
that's
normal math
normal.
class
Yeah,
again.
that's what we
Which is
normally
really
do.
nice. But I don't know about you, but personally, sometimes I feel weird being the one in the classroom, not on Zoom, and then stopping things to ask questions while there. So
That
sometimes I save my questions for the end,
yeah.
but it's still, again, it's like getting back into like, it's like how we had to get used to e-learning. Like
Yeah,
we're going to have to like slowly adjust to this new remote
definitely.
hybrid.
Hybrid model, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, another thing, like this isn't really the classroom, but I've just enjoyed walking through the halls again. That used to be like I honestly love doing that, and I didn't feel that like walking. I'm not lucky enough. Like I'm missing traveling. Like I used to hate traveling, but now I'm like I wish I had another class in the other building, but that really hasn't happened. Do you travel for any of your classes?
So my first period is in the point, and
Wow.
that's my only class in the point this
Oh
year.
wow.
So I had to just, I'm really thankful that this is my first year in the East building because I had never had a class there
Yeah.
normally. But if everybody was there, I would be so lost. But
Yeah.
now that it's empty, I can see the signs, I can ask the security guards where I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
going. So, I mean, I'm finally getting to know a new building, but I only travel once.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but there's also like nobody in the hallway, so it's not
Yeah.
like you have to
That
worry about.
yeah, exactly. But then like you do see someone like you hadn't seen since like last March, and that's like, whoa, what? Like it's
I
so
know, or they have
weird.
like a new haircut, new hair
Yeah.
color, you know.
Yeah, they grew like 3 inches or something. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, it's like
yeah, literally.
I
That's
couldn't,
like,
unfortunately I can't relate to that, but
oh,
besides the point.
okay.
Yeah. Let's move on to like the safety aspect of things. So they called it the Swiss cheese model. I found that quite funny, but that
Yeah.
again might just be me. But do you think the mitigation strategies that Stevenson has implemented? So to recap, those are like masks all the time. There's the testing that they're doing. There's the social distancing in classrooms, the temperature checks, the daily health check-in, and I think like the new
Hmm.
air conditioning, cleaning, there's like 9 of them and they're like quite detailed. So do you think they've been effective?
I personally feel safe. I haven't had a moment where I like, you know, sometimes when you're at the grocery store and you like see someone and you're like, is this allowed?
Yeah.
You're like, are they like, is this,
Yeah.
should this be happening right now? But I don't think I've ever had a circumstance like that at Stevenson yet or anything. I hope I don't ever have one.
Yeah.
But I, and then I also know like people that are going for sports now, like say like they feel safe too. So I personally think like because I can't think of anything else that could be done.
Yeah.
But that also just
Yeah, that was my
be
next question.
me.
Like, could they be? So to inform you guys, in the last 2 weeks, two kids have tested positive. I don't think we know whether or not it's from Stevenson or it's from external sources. But again, like if the student tested positive, like they had symptoms, they're immediately sent to like the COVID clinic, which is Mr. Gobble's office has become. And then, yeah, that's like it's like
That's another thing that's kind of funny.
yeah, and then they got everyone else who like so they have the contact tracing plan and everything. So I really think that I feel safe. Well, I wipe in, wipe out. That's a good strategy. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like what more can you do? They're already doing so much. Then it would just become like it's a bit too much, then you just don't feel like I feel comfortable and safe at the same time. If we were doing more, like you have to wear like a face shield or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I would have been like, this is a bit too much. But I think they're doing just enough to keep us safe. Yeah,
Yeah, and I also think a big part of it is the personal responsibility,
mm, yeah,
which is why it makes it so hard to like fully like make everybody come back and everything because there's so much that they can't control.
yeah,
But I think from what they're controlling, they're doing a great job of it.
definitely.
So
And I think
I yeah,
they
you
took
go.
they made a wise decision of like taking the first semester, really like having us do remote, which wasn't half bad. Like the first 2 weeks, I was like, this is gonna be a pain with all the headaches and stuff. But across the last like few months of the remote, just completely remote, I found it to be relatively okay. Like, did you?
So
Look like you agree.
I would actually strongly disagree with
Oh,
that.
okay, okay.
But but that's also like uh I just that's just the type of person I am.
Mhm.
E-learning just wasn't made for me,
Yeah,
but I can also understand that going back to school was not a viable
yeah,
option. No
yeah.
matter how upset it made me, I could understand that the community is bigger than my personal needs and what I wanted to
Yeah,
learn. So I do think you're definitely right that even after the first initial 2 weeks, it definitely got easier.
yeah,
But I think something that this schedule offers is that change because, like you said, we like became robots basically. Like I memorized the timing schedule first semester that had all the weird numbers in it, like
yeah.
classes started at 37
Oh,
or like
yeah, it
something.
was so weird.
And somehow like it just became like like you just did it and you didn't even think twice about it.
Mhm.
So I kind of like that now I can like look forward to like going to school tomorrow or like in 2 days.
It's just something to look forward to, which is something I think we've all lacked, like around the world. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing to look forward to. Like, you're waking up in the same room, you're going to the kitchen, you're coming back. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
what more are you doing? So, I think you're right. And just like it offers us flexibility, this hybrid learning model. Like, and I think that's another key aspect that they didn't force kids. Like, you're choosing hybrid, you're gonna have to go back. I like having the flexibility. Like some days, suppose we're doing like an in-class essay. We're not used to handwriting anymore. I don't think anyone is. Like, I haven't handwritten anything in ages. So
Uh-uh.
I have the flexibility of staying home, doing it with my laptop because again, you can only bring your iPad to school if you want it to be connected to the internet. And I just like that flexibility. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it was good that they took the time for a semester to assess the situation and create the ideal model for, I mean, like, again, what more can they do? I think they've just played to the circumstances and did the most they.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, good.
Oh, I would agree with the flexibility. Like, some days there's just days where I don't want to wake up at 6:30 to get to school. That's just some days it's just not happening. But even having the option is still very nice. And yeah, so I would agree with the flexibility thing
Yeah.
because just some days I'm not getting up before 7:20.
Yeah, no, that's just it. No, like maybe we were used to it when we normally went back to school.
Yeah,
That habit
that's
has gone
so
out.
that's another thing that I think the hybrid model could maybe improve on is the lots and the parking.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think maybe offering juniors parking options or even opening up Port Clinton. Like
Yeah.
I'd buy a parking pass.
Yeah.
You don't have to give it to me for free.
Yeah. I
I
think it's fair. Like if juniors are willing to pay, because that's actually it's cold and it's like actually like useful. It's not just like for our convenience. The
Mhm.
like the scanner that they have for our temperature. I remember I went in.
Doesn't
It
work.
just doesn't work because our foreheads are too cold, and then we have to
Yeah.
wear, like BDs. We have to wear more stuff, and it's just a hassle for us. When I
Mhm.
don't think they've run out of parking lots, and I think they can really enforce social distancing in the parking lots if that's the issue. Like they
Yeah.
can find spots rather than just you have to go park wherever you want. And
Yeah.
I genuinely think that's one thing that should be implemented as a junior. Like I think that's
Yeah, so that's the only thing that I've really like criticized about it is just the parking
yeah,
situation because like having to like ask my like parents to drive me sometimes just also isn't an option. So
yeah,
then like
they're
then
working.
I do stay home for that day if I
Yeah,
can't get a ride there and from.
yeah,
So
definitely. So this is more like personally. So you've been to school a few times, as have I. Let's ask you first. Do you prefer remote learning or in-person learning? I think the answer is pretty obvious.
I do prefer in person. Um Even if it's like a boring normal day with filled with lectures, I think it's also just like the mindset of it, of like thinking, you know what, we're doing this today. Maybe in 2 months, more kids can come. And then I think it's just the hope that it gives.
Yeah,
I think it's just something very positive and something that we've been lacking a lot recently is just thinking about it getting back to normal, thinking of it getting better, and they're trying their best. And I know people have worked really hard to try to create this. And I know my teachers, my Spanish teacher lives in Wisconsin and he drives for school every day. And sometimes he doesn't have kids that come in class. So it's like, I want to show my teachers that like I'm thankful for what they're doing and what they're not risking because it's a safe place, but you know, the time that they're giving for us.
yeah.
So,
Definitely. Yeah. I would have to agree with you. I think in-person learning has just been it's just something close to normal. I think we're all missing normal. Like I saw something the other day. It's like if we start see like I think it's pretty much confirmed that we're not going to have a normal learning experience junior year. But if we start senior year with like the hybrid model, our only like full normal year of high school would have been freshman year. And that's just appalling to me.
Raghav, you're gonna make me cry on this podcast. You can't be saying that. That is just rude.
Yeah,
That
it
is so
really
mean.
but it's just
So mean,
crazy to
so
think
uncalled for.
about.
Wow.
At least, no, my point bringing that up was at least they're doing something to get us closer to that normal that we had freshman
Hmm.
year and the start of sophomore year, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. And that's what I would just say to like anybody who hasn't gone and is thinking of going or maybe has been on edge about going, just try it.
Yeah.
If waking up that early isn't something you want to do, try your afternoon classes. I didn't think I was going to like it.
I
I've
did.
had friends that have tried it and didn't like it, so now they don't go. So it's really just give it a try. Don't just assume you're not going to like it because I thought it was just going to be weird in like a science fiction movie
Yeah,
and I actually really like it. So
I
I would
completely
just
agree. Just give it a try. It's not like you're not forced to, but we definitely recommend giving it a try because it's just, like you can't form a judgment without actually experiencing it. But
mhm.
then again, obviously if you have like underlying conditions or
Oh yeah,
yeah,
if
like if you have
I
external
totally
factors,
understand that
yeah,
part, but if you're just you're like just a little not lazy, not to call people lazy, but I mean I am. I was like, am I really going to be waking up at 6:30 and actually enjoying my day? And the answer is I somehow am.
yeah,
So I just say try it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Hmm.
so with that, I'd like to conclude this episode of Statesman Soundwave. Abby, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. Thank you for having me, Raghav.
For sure, for sure. So be sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel to always know when our episodes come out. Also, be sure to check out our website, statesmanshs.org, to read all the stories put out by our staff. That's all for now. Thank you.